Oh, thank you. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:02. Dave's got a flag, so we can do a pledge. If you'll join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. So, public input. Don't see any public here right now. So, done with that. In correspondence, everything we have is part of the regular meeting documents. Unless Kathy got something at the last minute, but I don't think she usually lets me know. So we have approval of meeting minutes. So I will make a motion to approve the minutes from our regular meeting of May 25, 2021. Dave Olson seconds. Does anybody have anything on those minutes from May 25 that need to be corrected, updated, etc.? No. Okay, we're good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. Anybody need to abstain? I think Bob needs to abstain.
I gotta abstain, yeah.
Yeah. And somebody else wasn't here. Perna, right, he's not here now. So he's not here, but he, yeah, okay. So just before we jump into the updates and all from the school project, two things. One, I checked in with First Selectman Matt Knickerbocker about returning to in-person meetings and what's going on with that. So we have some sort of, so it doesn't get sprung on us at the last minute. And according to Matt, that's being dealt with by the state legislature, because I think some things that were put in place remain in place. And so they kind of have to make the changes so that, because it's basically, because all of our different meetings of boards and commissions are part of running the town government, the way that town government runs has to be either updated or somehow be specifically set by the legislature. So it's being done equally across the state. So for now, we're doing the Zoom thing. And I know for some people it works out pretty good because you don't have to travel. Just have to find a quiet place in your house. And sometimes you get, you find a quiet place in the house. And if you're Joe Colada, you could be in the media center at whatever he chooses for his background. So again, we'll continue with Zoom meetings until we get some kind of further guidance from probably through the Board of Admin and whoever's those noises, if they could stop, that would be good. Second thing, if you remember last year, Dr. Carver let us know that that we, the Public Site and Building Commission, all the members, were given an award by the Bethel Public Schools for our dedication and commitment to the town, to the school systems and all the work we've done. And a whole year later, Dave Olson was nice enough to pick up our award, which is here. You can't really see the whole thing. So now we have it, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. We need to hang it up somewhere. So we'll either pass it around, and each month we can hang it in our house, or we'll maybe, when we go back to having in-person meetings in our what used to be our regular meeting room B, we might hang it up there. But we'll find a spot in the municipal center to hang it up for all the world to see. So thank you to Dr. Carver. Thank you, Dave, for picking it up. And thank you to Bethel Public Schools for this honor. Yay, everybody's doing a round of applause quietly. Okay, so now we're ready to jump into some reports and such. So we have, we'll go down the list, the bullet list on the school projects, and if we have to move some stuff around just because we need to do things in a different order, we will, but I think we'll stick with that. So our construction progress and construction schedule update. We did get a report sent out through Carolyn by Rizzo. And there it is. So Ken, you can give us what you got.
Okay. For Rockwell, they've installed the chiller sound screen wall panels, 90%. They need to install the door and panels at the end where it meets the corner by the boiler room. Right now, the dimensions were short about 4 feet. So he's got to get 4 more feet of panel to finish it off. The drink fountain panel was installed inside the gymnasium. The overflow trim on the exterior of the building, they were installed. The overflow pipe at the drains was cut down. That was the white pipe that extended from each of the drains on the roof too high, and I had them cut it down. The light circuits were changed in the admin to normal power. That's been corrected. Paving at the bus loop entrance is scheduled for Thursday, Friday. They did the base today. Thursday, Friday is in question right now. I'm talking to him every day, so I'm hoping to nail that down. I'll find out more tomorrow, but it could slip a day. And then we're working on the punch list.
What does that mean to slip a day? Into the next week, or?
Yeah, it could go into the 14th on Monday.
For Rockwell?
It would be for both, because
Ken?
Both at this, simultaneously.
Ken, what did I tell you at the last meeting about that week? Did I not, Nancy?
You did.
Okay, I'll tell him that it has to be this week.
That's right. I listen.
Right,
go ahead.
Well, Ken, so what does it have to do with as far as not being ready? Is it about, so we're looking obviously both at Rockwell and Johnson because they want to come out and pave at the same time. They can't really come and then come back. So are we looking at issues with the rain and weather? Are we looking at other stuff not being completed? So, because I think we have to look at that. Dr. Carver did say at our last meeting that there are a number of different activities that are end of school activities that are happening in the school complex next week and the week after that is going to create a situation where there's an inordinate amount of traffic going through there. And that has to be taken in consideration with looking at paving. So talking about slipping, if it goes back a day, does that mean Friday, Saturday? Or does that mean?
It's the paving company, and I'll tell Earth Movers that if it doesn't happen Friday, then it can't happen until after school.
But even after school's meeting, the school's out. But after school's out, we're starting with summer school programs almost immediately.
Right. We had that conversation.
The 23rd, 24th, and 25th.
What are those dates?
23rd, 24th, and 25th.
I guess I don't understand. We haven't had much rain. It only rained like a few hours this afternoon. What is their delay? Because you told me the week of the 7th.
Dr. Carver, the only issue they have is Earthmovers doesn't do their own paving. So they use American Paving. So if he gets backed up because of weather on another job, usually what happens is everything gets pushed. So that's what we're fighting with him right now about, is to hold these 2 days with him, regardless of what's happened to him in the rest of his week.
Well, that's what I would prefer.
Yes.
So, but Ken and Jim, are we also looking at least paving the access road? Are there any holdups there with the sleeve that's, or sleeves that, or the, you know, conduit, et cetera, that has to get put under the access road? Is that proceeding at a normal rate so that we could be ready to pave on Thursday?
The only thing we're doing is putting a sleeve under, so that shouldn't be an issue for earth movers. That shouldn't stop anything that we're doing.
So you're putting the sleeve under, that's gonna, you need two of them, one for water, one for power, or is the power one already there? Did you find that?
No, no, no. There's two of them.
Okay. All right, good. Excellent.
Jim, just so American Paving, we have a very long-standing relationship with them. So
I wouldn't mind, Terry, if you called and you.
Yeah, I mean, if you need me to call someone, they do our snow plowing. They've done a lot of asphalt for us, both for the town and the Board of Ed. So
I'll tell you what, Terry, if I'll reach out to Eddie Killian tomorrow morning, if he's hearing the same things from them that they're looking to push off, I'll give you a call. And if you wouldn't mind adding some pressure to that,
I would certainly give him a call.
Okay.
And that, so just to go back to what Ken had said about the 23rd, 24th, 25th, what were those days? Were those days that you thought would be backups, or?
We did talk about it last meeting, Nancy.
Okay.
That at the worst case, my only concern with it is that if it rains on the 22nd, graduation is moved to the 23rd. Okay. And so then it's even more chaotic then. And then the following Monday, Park and Rec starts with their summer camps.
Right.
So it's just a little tighter. And if it rains, it's worse. And with graduation, we're going to have thousands of people on the campus.
Yeah.
It would be good to have it done now. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to go with what Jim was, obviously, we want to try to get the Thursday, Friday. Would they pay on Saturday? Would they, if they had to do Friday, Saturday, would they do that? Do we know?
Don't know.
That would be a plant opening, so that it would just be extra dollars at that point. The idea is to try to stay in the week.
Yeah, during the week. Okay, so Jim and Terry are going to connect about if we need to put some pressure on the paving company. I mean, we understand, because you've probably been doing the same thing to other companies where you've got, not just with paving, but with other things. When you get pushed back, then everybody's schedule gets pushed back. That's understandable, but let's push to get it done on Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
So Jim was finishing, or Ken was finishing up Rockwell. Is there anything else you want to tell us about Rockwell, Ken? Does anybody have any questions about Rockwell?
I have a question about the admin lights.
Okay.
Is that meant to say that they were switched to the emergency circuit, not the normal power?
No, they were on the emergency circuit, and that was the problem.
No.
That's not my understanding.
So it seems like Joe and Geraldine are saying not.
No, it's the other way around. When the generator comes on, the admin lights would not come on that circuit. Tom Galliford sent in a write-up on that. Yeah. He made it pretty clear in the write-up what it is. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure he's gonna want to test it too.
Yep.
So Ken, was this tested with the generator? Is that what?
Not with the generator, no. They just did it Saturday.
Okay, so that looks like it needs to get checked into further.
I'll verify it.
Right, because what you said is opposite of what everybody else is saying needed to be done. And how are we doing with the punch list? Are we completing items?
Yes, we are.
Timely fashion?
Yes.
And just kind of a little, again, step backwards in a way. We had our, the tours that Dr. Carver organized. We did that last Wednesday, and we had members from Public Site, members from the Board of Education, members from the Board of Finance, members from the Board of Selectmen. We divided in half, went through the schools with Dr. Carver leading one group and Terry leading the other group. and got to see a lot. And some of the people who came had not been through the schools in quite a long time, if ever. So that was a great thing to do, yet people were pointing some things out and asking questions. So I think, Ken, you were in a different group, but I know Jim was kind of taking notes as people pointed things out. And, you know, if they were things that were not on the punch list, have you been able to then add them to the punch list or make sure that those items are going to get taken care of?
Yeah, they were working on some of them. They filled some of the smaller holes in the canopy beams yesterday. He just has to get a bigger plug for some of the large. There's a larger hole. They didn't have the right size, but then there was something on the roof listed in your email that you were at Johnson, and I couldn't find where that was. So
it might be the canopy roof, because we were looking onto a very small lower roof section, and it looked like someone had the roof over into a corner, and there was just a pile of staples and a bunch of other stuff.
Oh, okay. I think maybe we were looking for they were looking for a bigger pile. But,
yeah, it wasn't a lot, but it was some stuff. I mean, there were things like staples that you wouldn't want to have up there and have stay up there. And is the Rockwell roof done? Did all that stuff get finally taken off the roof? All the extra materials that were piled up there?
Yes, all the stuff on both layers, both levels have been removed.
Okay. Any other questions on Rockwell for Ken? Oh, with the chiller sound screen. Earlier than we thought, wasn't it not supposed to come for a couple more weeks? Or did
it came last Monday.
Right, but wasn't it due like next week or something like that? Or was I thinking of something else?
There are other things.
There's other things that, yeah, we're waiting for still. Okay. So then Johnson.
Okay, for Johnson, they completed the chiller sound screen wall panels. The soccer field topsoil was completed, fence has been installed, and they're hydro seeding Thursday or Friday. And a scoreboard sleeve and irrigation sleeve. He called me this morning. He was getting the parts, so I don't believe they put that in today. So it's probably going in tomorrow morning. They got the sidewalk repair and extension for the softball field happening tomorrow. Admin graphic replacement shipped, but that has been updated as of this morning. He received the materials and he wants to come in. He said Thursday or Friday, so I didn't think second shift it would matter. So I left that open with him so that we could get that done. And paving the access road is scheduled for Thursday or Friday, so we'll hold them to that. And the punch list is being worked on.
So with the punch list at both schools, I mean, we're making great. I mean, I think we sent those all out to everyone, and again, we're not going to look at every single one, and every single item at every meeting, or we'll be here till 1 in the morning. But we do have a couple things, so open punch list items that have costs associated with them. And we also had the site punch list that came out from Malone, McBroom, ST, SLR. Yep. So Gerald has the open items punch list up now. And with these open punch list items that have costs, a dollar value, is that about the retainage, or is that a dollar value that we're looking at possibly having to have a change order?
Just so that when we go to think about reducing any retainage, the contractors, we have enough set aside so that you know, is more than enough to do it. Plus it's, you know, gonna prompt them to do it themselves rather than have us do it.
Right.
Because of the amount. So that's the basis for that, is so that we can get them here to finish all their work.
And I circulated it mostly so that the commission was aware of what was outstanding for some of the trades, and it's clearly it's minimal. I think there are maybe you know, 8 trades listed here and not very many items for each one. So just to kind of back up what Ken said, it's also to let you know what currently is outstanding.
So it does not seem like it's a very long list yet. Ken, what are you finding as far as getting each trade to come back and finish their complete their items that are outstanding?
You know, mostly is just because it's only a few items. They you know, they don't feel it's worth their while, but you know, we are constantly emailing and calling them, and we get them out here, but it just, some of them are just harder than others. But you know, that's not on here. I do have dates from the landscaper. He did quite a few of the items on his punch list. So we'll be going through this and sending this in.
I don't have that one.
No,
Also,
I did not get that one.
The site ones I think are separate, right?
Right.
They are.
Yeah, so it's a separate one that came from which I don't know if it has. I don't think it had costs associated with it. It was the report. What we got was the report.
Yeah. That's right.
But I don't think we got costs on it.
I believe you're correct, Nancy.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of looking for that one, you know, because the landscaping one was still a little bit of a hot button with me to hold that one.
Right. So Ken, with just let's not look at site quite yet, but with these items on these punch lists, both for Johnson and with the dollar value associated, giving you an idea of what kind of retainage to hang on to, at what point them to come and asking them to come and asking them to come, do you then, are you able to say, okay, we'll finish this out with a couple of people we have on staff, and then you hold the retainage or use the retainage to, how does that work?
Right around the 15th.
And if I could. So what we did there, Nancy, is you assume it's going to cost X amount of dollars to fix whatever the item is. You multiply that by 4, and that's generally what we use for to hold as punch list value. The problem on this job would be is if we say we're going to bring in a new flooring contractor to finish our flooring, and you know, Geraldine can tell me, I can't just grab somebody off the street and have them come in and finish the flooring. That's the trickiest part. If this was any other scenario, you would simply, you know, send somebody over there and do it, and then send them a ticket for it.
Yeah. Again, then how long do we wait to get these people back in?
I think, you know, and Ken's got a handle on, I would say by the middle of June that most of these items are cleaned up. I would say, Ken, correct me if I'm wrong, with the exception of probably like a Ferguson, would probably be the only one that may linger longer than that. But other than that, I think that, you know, these are minor items that people are responding to.
Okay, so even like some painting by the painting contractor or, you know, touch-ups like that, they're not coming in immediately, but they're coming in, or you're getting them scheduled.
And things like that where Gerald, and you correct me if I'm wrong, if we can cross subs across from project to project, I can have the painter from one finish the other. We could certainly do something like that.
We can, and we have done that before on some other items on both of these projects. I mean, at some point, the value to getting the work completed outweighs the loss of the reimbursement, you know, should the state reject it. So, you know, I think we just have to be realistic with completing the project.
Okay. And do we want to look at, discuss the reports, site reports from Malone McBroom SLR? Or is it too soon because they just came out? Well, we got them on Friday, or no, yeah, we did get them on Friday.
Well, I didn't post them up here or distribute them, you know, or have them posted for the town because that, my understanding from Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the site work punch lists were going to be reissued because they were missing some of the planting information that needed to be added to it.
Yeah, they wanted to add, there was, I think, 2 or 3 trees that need to be replaced that weren't on the punch list. We just got the confirmation Ken in yesterday, so I sent that to Malone McBroom. So I'm waiting to get the revised punch list with that 1 extra item on it. But Ken and Rizzo is aware of it. So.
And certainly proceed with items that are on this interim, this draft punch list, but that's not the final site punch list. So.
Okay. So that punch list for each school needs to be, the site punch list needs to be updated with some that are not on it, but stuff's getting worked on now.
Yes.
Correct.
And it's just Johnson's. It wasn't Rockwell. It's just Johnson's that needed the additional item.
So do we? Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I'm just putting this schedule up. It only Ken forwarded it today, so I did not distribute it. But in terms of completing some of the pieces of the work, I think that you had asked at the last meeting to see better dates and more detail on the dates and on the items. So this combined with the punch list, combined with the report tonight, should give us a better, a better report of where we're closing things out.
That's good.
So that looks like we're going out to, can't actually
what?
It looks like we're going out almost to the beginning of August.
So that's just the platform railing at Johnson that was approved at the last meeting. It's going to take them a while to fabricate and install, and that's what that is.
But for everything else, it looks like mid-July.
I think we're looking at end of June. The July thing again is materials that aren't going to be available until July. It's kind of like
I'll make some more. You can take this.
Right. So, so then we have just a couple of things that we were waiting on. Some of the stuff starting to come in, but there's going to be a few other things that we are waiting on delivery of. Right. Yeah. Okay. And going back to site, I think Roy had started to ask about the landscaping, and are we getting anywhere with, especially reading on the steep slopes at Rockwell that keep out? That's a question for Ken.
Yeah, I'm checking. I'm trying to see which item it is on the punch list.
And would that be on the regular punch list or on the site punch list?
Site punch list.
Yeah, there's a number 2 feather out grading, and then there were, if you look at the photos that they put up too, the photos go with their comments, which like I just remember Roy standing there with a few people looking at the steep slope that was created after we raised the parking lot in the front of Rockwell on the staff parking side, and how that needed to be, I think that was pointed out as something that needs to be worked on.
Hey, Nancy, I'd been out to the site last, I think it was maybe Thursday, and I know some of the items had been being worked on as far as backfilling around the curbs and what have you. So yeah, it looked like there was some activity going on. I didn't personally start to check anything, but it looked like something was happening.
Right. And so are the landscape folks being receptive to, I mean, were they given the punch list or given items from the punch list that they need to work on?
Oh yeah, yeah. They returned it. They worked on it a day with a full crew, and then they returned it saying that they completed. And we just went through and checked everything today. So I just got to go through Matt's notes to see whether we agree or disagree on what they say is completed. Because I noticed there's still some overspray on some, you know, building and equipment today that I saw. So there's certain things that, you know, they're not 100% on, but they did do a fair amount of the punch list.
Mm-hmm. So then when you hear from them that they've completed stuff, this goes out, Matt goes out, or you go out to check and make sure that what they say they did get done?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, if anybody hasn't gotten a chance to check over that punch list, the photographs have a lot of good information too. So you compare those to the list and see the kind of stuff that needs to be done. And we'll keep checking on it too. Does anybody have any other questions about our site work punch list? From what some of us saw when we walked around and from the reports that were sent out. So I have a question going back to just the entire punch list. How are we getting, how are we looking as far as going towards getting a CO? So with whatever, you know, you have your, obviously the original punch list that was generated through the different visits by Perkins Eastman, but then added some stuff in with staff and us pointing stuff out, et cetera. And then obviously stuff with the building inspector and fire marshal, et cetera, are saying that needs to be checked, whatever. Are we moving along with that stuff too? Are we getting close to our CO?
Yes, we are. He had a
Okay.
on the list that we're working on.
So I'm assuming some things like site work are going to have to be completed for like planning and zoning to do their sign offs. There's stuff
Correct.
that planning and zoning or stuff that the health department is going to look for, not just, you know, Tom and Chris with building and fire marshal. So is there some, at some point does planning and like, does Beth have to come back out and do some sort of check to make sure whatever list that she may have generated, everything in there gets completed?
I'm sure they will, yes.
Okay, is that something you'll schedule at some point once you, I don't know, I know Beth was out there, what, a few months back or so? So I don't know whether she did a list for zoning stuff, site and zoning or not. Did she?
She's going to want the A2 survey at the end and a letter
Yep.
on all of the drains, the certification letter that she's going to be looking for.
Nancy, I ran into Beth the other day and she asked me about the project and said she did want to come out and take a walk around, and she knew that she had some sign-offs to do, you know, and I told her that we're kind of down to site work, you know, the buildings are pretty much a few, you know, some punch list items. So
Right.
I think it would be time to invite her out and get it done.
Okay. And that, I believe, is something that has to be done by Rizzo.
Yes, I'll give her a call.
Yeah. And give her a call, update her, kind of let her know where you are so she doesn't come out, you know, and then 3 days later you finish what she needs to have you finish. So she might want to, you know, give her some sort of update of where you are and then have her come out when you're close to finishing so that she doesn't need to make a couple trips and you don't need to make a couple trips.
Do you also have to contact Laura, Ken?
Yes.
I would do it at the same time, personally.
Okay.
But does Laura need to do stuff sites or?
I don't think so, right?
I would follow, I guess I would close the loop with Laura, but I believe that her last visit was her last visit, and that she already provided information to Chris Baldwin for the CO, but we should maybe just verify that, but I believe all of her work is complete.
Yeah, check with her and see if she's ready to start. If she hasn't signed off, is she ready to sign off, or is there anything else she needs to look at?
Okay.
I mean, if you need to meet her out there, obviously you might want to do it once so you're not there several different times. But if she's done, then
I think one of her items on her permit was the dumpster enclosures. They were recently completed, so she may just want to take a look at those.
Right. Okay. All right, so looking at our construction progress and our schedule update, does anybody have any other questions for Ken or Jim?
Well, Nancy, I'd like to share with everybody, I did also get a call from the state last week, the DAS, Office of Grants Management, checking in to see if we're wrapped, because we're coming up on their list as, oh, these guys should be wrapping up. So so they wanted to know how we were doing. So I let them know the same thing, that basically the buildings are done with some punch lists, but there is some site work being finished, and they said, okay, so, but they're going to be looking for us to close things out. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Move along, correct.
Yeah. Move along. We need to get, so, and is there a time frame with the state that we have to make sure we're kind of like?
Not really, but on the whole project, on the piece that they reimburse, they withhold 11% until the very end, and after they even come and audit. So we have to be done and file paperwork to even then trigger them to get in the queue for an audit, and then they got to audit, and then we settle up. But they used to hold back 5%, and now they hold back 11%. So I think that's kind of an incentive. I think they did that as an incentive to towns to
get stuff done,
get finished, and settle out. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good to know too. So I'm glad they checked in and didn't just sort of let it slide, and thanks for updating. So anything else on Ken or Jim? Do you have anything else for us on construction and or schedule?
No, that's all I have.
Anybody else? All right, thanks. And as I mentioned with the tours, and people were pointing some things out, and I know Jim was taking notes. I had written some things down. I sent the email out. And I did ask, someone started, who's going to take care of this? Who's going to take care of that? And Matt Knickerbocker pointed out, which was good, kind of stopped us, since when you email the entire board or commission and you start asking for input, et cetera, that almost becomes the idea of a meeting with a quorum. And so I asked people to please, anybody that had anything, to let a public site member know so that we could pass along to either Ken or Jim, or to Perkins Eastman, or to Geraldine. So if you hear any leftover from the tour items that somebody wants to talk about, please try to either funnel them to me so that I can pass them along, or get them to the appropriate person so they can be dealt with. Okay. So anything on technology? To me, on the tour, it looked like technology was up and running and happening. And
it is. The only thing that's outstanding on the AV side is the wireless surveys by E+ to make sure that the schools do have even and adequate coverage on the wireless system. I know that they came out and did the survey. I just don't have the report yet. So that's really the only thing outstanding on technology at all.
Okay.
I got a quick question for Bob. Bob, are you satisfied with everything with the BMS and all that?
Yeah, so far. They had a team out there today to do Rockwell Johnson to work on the chillers. Still a couple little bugs to work out, but we're getting there. I've been also in contact with Rick as well.
Yeah, and for Rick, they're considering this time period part of their commissioning of the cooling system. So so Rick is actively engaged with ESC on the control side and with Actionaire on trying to figure out whether whether the BMS is reading the right information, whether it's getting the right information. There was an issue today with heating in the second floors of the schools. Turned out that the windows were open, and so that was impacting the air conditioning. So, we're kind of working through some of those bugs and finalizing the commissioning of the cooling system right at this point because of these temperatures.
It was a perfect week to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of good that we got it, even though it's making us all crazy.
Very crazy, but poor Bob. Poor Bob. Bob's going back to Hawaii.
Good night. Hey, Dave, when you get a chance, let's talk because I can give you some tech data.
All right, great.
Yeah, it's kind of, and when they started flashing on the TV, flashing under, early dismissals and everything. And I was thinking, oh, Bethel doesn't have to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had high school, but I know the other schools you were able to get through.
Only our high school. Only our high school.
Yeah, good. Good. But still probably making Bob and the staff crazy because it's not even like it's going up slowly. It's like burr, 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 burr. It makes the system crazy. So anything else on technology that you've got for us?
No.
Nope. Good. Okay. The room at Rockwell. I think John's got a little update for us, and then we have something we have to look at later.
Okay. This past Saturday, Malcolm Beeler came out and actually performed the sampling himself at the Rockwell School. Terry, thank you for your help coordinating the janitors. While Bob was out getting a suntan in Hawaii, that's okay. We'll keep working. But anyhow, the samplings we're taking, they took, I believe, a total of 20 or 22 samples, which included wipe samples, core samples, and what they call chip samples. The samples were sent to a lab for analysis. They'll have that report back probably by Monday of next week. And from there, Malcolm said that they will be sending that analysis in with a final remediation plan, action plan to the feds for their approval. Once that is approved, then we can start the process of doing remediation. Now understand, kind of a 10,000 foot snapshot, a couple of things that's gonna have to happen. One is we'll have to have a letter to the feds that the town accepts the remediation responsibility and will follow through with it. There's also going to have to be a deed restriction on the building. As long as it stays a school, nothing will have to change. If we ever want to change the use of the building, the feds are going to make us remediate the entire boiler room. I don't think there's anybody on this call that will even be around when that happens. If we're investing $30 million, I don't think the town has any intent to change the use of the building within the next 25 or 30 years. But
yeah, we'll be in Hawaii with Bob.
Yeah. And the other thing is, and I asked Malcolm about once the feds approve the remediation plan, when do we have to act on it? He says, there's really no timeline. But my suggestion would be, if we get this approved, if we have money left over in this project, which we do have money set, I believe, Gerald, we have money set aside for this, right?
Yep.
I would say, let's get it done this summer because it has to be done when school is not in session. And I don't think we should put it off, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But so there's the remaining steps. So by the next meeting, I'll have more, hopefully have some more information. but the sampling was done, and that kind of came about kind of fast with him because I was away on vacation, and I reached out to Bob in Hawaii and reached out to Terry, and we got it set up and taken care of.
Hey, John, I got a question.
Yes.
When that samples come back, is there any possibility the state may say, oh, they're too high, it needs to get done right now?
He doesn't believe so.
But there is a chance.
A remote chance. It can't be done with they know it can't be done when the school's in session. That's absolutely, that's not allowed.
Right.
So
but they wouldn't shut the
that they already have that are part of the report are extremely high already. That I don't believe that the samples are going to, we're getting more samples, not sort of different samples, I think, at this point.
So what they do with the samples is they take what they call surface wipe samples. Then they take a core sample of approximately, I believe, 1 inch down, and then a second core sample in the same hole, I think it's 3 inches down, to see how much the PCB is permeated through the cement. And then they do what they call a chip sample in some areas also. And again, that was what they base this information on.
So my only comment, if we do something this summer, that's going to take the chiller offline, and that's going to take the building offline.
Right. Again, we can wait till next summer, possibly, or we can do it during vacation week. That's a possibility too.
It depends how long it is, you know.
Yeah.
We might be able to work something out.
I mean, having seen the initial draft, basically what's going to have to be remediated is going to be all the exposed walk areas within the building by either scarification of the floor or some type of sand or ice blasting, and then epoxy coating and so forth. So again, I have no idea how long something like that would take. The surface area is really not a lot.
No, but do they have to take any substructure apart in there?
No.
Okay.
No.
So the core samples, I guess, would, you know, the surface and then the core gives them an idea of how far down the surface they need to get remediated.
Right.
Okay.
And there's there's a point, I don't know what the numbers are, where they're going to say, okay, that's fine. And we're going to have to put an epoxy coating on it. And then they're going to, I think they also recommended even over the epoxy coating is to put like a floor, like a rubberized floor runner. So the floor doesn't, the epoxy doesn't get scratched and disturbed. And then once a year, there's going to have to be a wipe sample taken of a couple of areas within the boiler room. You're looking at probably $60, $70 a sample for having the sample and analysis done on a yearly basis. And again, we'll know that exact number of wipe samples that are going to be required each year, which will have to be kept on file.
Right. So now, do you think that the question was asked, if it comes back, are we going to make us way? But are we going to get the report in place so that we can actually get the work done this summer? Because it would be nice to kind of just get it done.
Yeah.
Okay.
He indicated to me as soon as he gets the sample analysis back, he's going to start the process of a final report. In a work plan for approval.
Right, and so that has to get that plan using the new sample stuff and whatever else other information we had. That has to get approved first before we can actually start any work.
Oh yeah, you can't do anything until the samples come back and he submits all that to the feds.
Okay.
So
now, what Geraldine has up here is, and it was sent around to everyone. John got this over the weekend. It's because Weston and Sampson had to do extra sampling, and so obviously extra work. They had an additional cost, so that's what this is. And do we want to look at that and approve it now since it's there and get it done with?
Yeah, I believe it was like $1,800, wasn't it?
Yeah, $1,827, I think, is the additional amount.
So I see. Okay, it was 25 samples. I knew it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was 20 or 22, 25 samples.
Yeah.
Which I think was a little bit more than he anticipated. in the beginning that he was going to be required to take, but that's what the feds told him that they have to do. Because one of the things we talked about in the past couple of weeks, when I got the information back from Gerald and helped me and so forth about getting the floor plan and the building layouts, and that's what the feds wanted to see because of taking the sample data, and that's what they came back with, where they wanted wipe samples, chip samples, and core samples.
Okay, because this is additional on top of what they originally planned. Like I said, unplanned for, because they thought they had everything covered, but now vets are asking for more.
Of course.
So is the total 1827? Is that the total?
I think is that next page, Carolyn?
Yeah, that's what. Yes. Yep. Just the cost of sampling. Yep.
So and there's not a cost to write a report or any of that, or is there part of the original value?
There's still money in the whole process for them to complete the reports.
Okay. This is just the actual sampling.
It's just nothing but samples. Right.
Okay. So I make a motion to approve that amount, or it's for Weston and Sampson, right? It's not for another company. Yeah. For Weston and Sampson in the amount of $1,827.
I'll second it.
So John seconds it. We've already discussed it, but if anybody has other questions before we vote on it, because we'll get a separate invoice from this once this is approved. It's already been done, but it's being approved. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Done. So anything else on that, John?
No, again, as soon as I hear back from Malcolm, I'll, hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have some more information, or he may even send me a report that he's sending to the feds, which I will obviously share with the whole group.
Okay.
That's it.
Good enough.
Thank you.
So federal tax credits, we're still in the review process, which we didn't get a chance to have a meeting with people being away and et cetera. So we still have to work on that. And obviously, since it's in this tax year, we have a little time. Want to make sure it doesn't kind of fall off our list and that we deal with it. Review. I'm going to throw some more stuff up there at us.
Sure, some budget information. So we're slowly hitting the top of the budget. At Johnson, just an update, we are currently billed out to 90% of the project total, and we're at 94% of construction completion, which tracks towards actual completion and how Rizzo is requisitioning money. And the current owner contingency for Johnson is $1,382,250. And then similarly at Rockwell, we are at about 98% of the total project being billed out. And the difference, the reason that we're so close to 100% on this one is because there's no contingency left. And the numbers are lower at Johnson in comparison because we do still have contingency unbilled. So 98% of the total project budget is billed out and 93% of construction is completed. And the current owner contingency is a negative $539,321 at Rockwell. And so in total, the two projects, looking at the accounting for both projects today, we are still currently looking at an owner contingency of $383,000 at completion. So we are still tracking under budget, although less and less every week. And today we have a few, one change order actually to look at. And as John pointed out, we are carrying the boiler room floor abatement cost estimate of $68,000 as part of the project already accounted for before the contingency balance.
So in looking back at the boiler room floor, we got that 68 that we put in there, 68,000. John, do you know once that this testing is done, does that give like Malcolm and his team a little bit of a better idea whether that cost is going to work or?
Yeah, he'll know exactly what the feds are going to require, and that will be definitely a help whether or not, you know, that 68,000, which he originally told us, he thought that was a worst case scenario number. So hopefully it will come in under that.
He had given a high and a low, and I'm tracking on the high. So yeah, that would be the most conservative.
Yeah.
And then once we start getting into this, are we gonna have to like throw this out to bid or something, or are we? Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, we'll have to go out to bid with it. You know, there's not a lot of contractors that are going to be doing this because of the scarification or ice blasting, which is a pretty new method. It just so much less residual and you know, debris for cleanup and dispose of. But we're going to have to take a good hard look at that and talk to him a little bit more in depth. I like maybe get him on a call with some of us to discuss some of our options when that time comes, which would be the best recommendation.
I'm guessing we're going to have to put out an RFP kind of thing.
Yeah.
And someone's going to have to write that.
I believe some of that it's already kind of in that report. I mean, a lot of the legwork is there. Obviously, there's going to be the legal side of the town aspect of, you know, and bidding qualifications and so forth. But what has to be done, it's going to be pretty much spelled out by the feds. So it's going to take a lot of the legwork away from us, which is good.
But at the same time, we're going to want to try to do it as quickly as we can, because that would be throw it out there for a period of time. Bids back, award, sign some, you know. It's like,
right. So the sooner the better we hear about this. Then we can decide when we want to do this.
Okay. And then just another kind of budget type question, Carolyn, I know we talked about this a few times way back. And are there other lines in the budget where things are like complete, but they're now under, and those things can be moved into contingency? Or?
So the only items that have a balance are in, and I list them here under potential reductions in budget line items. The line that does not have any numbers associated with it, which is the town bonding and financing costs, I do need to get together with Bob Kozlowski and see what costs he's intending to book to this project for the cost of the bonds and any interim notes that were carried. We, towards the beginning of construction, we sat down and reassessed the numbers that were carried in the budget, and he came up with some more realistic numbers, but I don't have a record of any of those costs hitting this project account. So I do need to catch up with him and find out what he intends to book to it. We haven't had one in a while, but the interim reports that Terry would get from financing in order to create the reimbursement requests had never had any of those costs accounted on them. So at this point, I just need to know, we're towards the end of the project. He should know what costs there were and which ones are going to be booked to this project versus carried by the town. And that could result in some other credits that could then roll up to the project.
Okay, because I think the Board of Finance had something on their agenda tonight for moving some money around to cover some, maybe some, I don't think it was bonding. I'd have to go back and look at their agenda, but I think they were looking at how to cover some debt service, but it wasn't specific as to what debt, whether it was this police station, et cetera.
Yeah, so just as an example, under this category of other costs, let me be sure I'm looking at the right column. So this, for instance, under town bonding and legal fees, they had originally asked us, the original budget was 80,000. Bob thought we could drop that down to 62.5. So we did that at the beginning of the project, but nothing has ever been booked to that So as far as we know, there's still outstanding, outstanding dollars to be booked. Same thing with the short-term financing. We also know, and I should say, under the utility fees on both projects, there's still some money left. Here it's 20,000 on Johnson. So yes, there are still some numbers, and we'll try to tie that up for the next meetings, just so that we have a better accounting of what's left to spend, essentially, where we are with the contingency.
Okay, good. Anything on, any questions, any other on budget? What, change order? Yay.
We only have one today. This is at Rockwell. And we entertained a similar change order at Johnson at one point, I believe. When the building official did his final inspections of the roof, realized that some of the roof equipment, at least the position of what needed to be accessed for maintenance, were too close to the roof edge. And instead of putting up, railings along the roof edge, he said that he would be happy with a tie-off, so that any worker that goes up there just has to have their personal protection equipment and tie themselves off on these davits that are attached to the roof. And so this, and Perkins Eastman put together some information, specifications for what was needed, some diagrams, some counts. And this is the cost at Rockwell to add those tie-off locations. And then obviously to repair the roof, they have to go into the structure. So it's Rockwell for $3,742.20.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we got a motion to approve from Dave Olson, John Menti seconds in that amount. And I've just a question. So there was a drawing that kind of went with it too. And it's just the one location, right? There's not a bunch of them all over the roof.
It is just one location.
Yeah, I see the bubble around it pointing to it, but then they're all, there's the rest of the roof stuff on there. So I didn't know whether there had to be more of them or whether it could be just the one. Okay.
On this one, it's just one. Yep.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Done. And we do have a couple that are still waiting for us, I believe, or being written up or whatever.
Yeah, there's actually, I still think there is just this one at Johnson that has to do with ductwork in the cafeteria that we are still waiting for additional information back from the contractor. It's a very old one. At Rockwell, I believe we're up to date. Oh. Yes, actually at Rockwell, we are up to date. This one has been, I think this has been rejected. But I will also say that at the last meeting, you had asked Rizzo to provide a list, kind of an accounting of what they were still negotiating on their side. And Ken did submit something about an hour and a half ago. So as soon as we have a chance to review that list of outstanding change orders that they are still battling with subcontractors on, we'll be able to have a report on that by next week. So I think Ken and I need to get together and review that list and the information and see what those claims are all about. I didn't really have a chance to look at it before the meeting. So.
Okay.
So suppose, are they saying Rizzo's still battling with contractors? Is that like them trying to get the contractors to come up with the proper information or better information, or?
Ken, do you want to speak to where you're at with some of those change orders?
Well, a lot of them were scope related items that they're basically saying that they still want to get paid for. And, whether they were rightfully rejected or not, some of the work was done and it's in fairness, the contract and scope of work, we're looking at each one so that we can close these contractors out, but some of them, they're just not going away. And that's why we have some of the amounts that we submitted, because, you know, there's, you know, a few in there that have COVID claims. Well, it's the same contractor. He's only the one contractor that submitted acoustics, but there's others, like we mentioned previously. The electrician has several that, you know, we had previously told him that we didn't feel like those were part of the scope of the contract, and they're not backing down on them, I guess is a better way of stating it. So we'll have to make a decision together as a team, is, you know, how we want to deal with some of these, because I'm not sure where they'll go with them, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
So, and then like, how do these get resolved eventually? You know, who kind of has the last say, so to speak?
Oh, Nancy, that what we tried to do was put together a worst case scenario list where we thought, you know, here's what they're claiming, here's what we've rejected, and then here's what, you know, a potential exposure could be if you had to, you know, for some of these guys, you had to settle up with them, type of thing. Now, some of it is items that got rejected because it's, you know, information that the design team saying is on the drawings that they don't agree with. So it's going to come down to, you know, especially like a Ferguson, what is that dollar amount? You know, and then I guess that's really, you know, a business decision on both parts, what we do with this thing. So that's what we tried to spell out to make it clear to everybody what we're still working through.
Okay, so then we'll get to see that once Geraldine has a review, and then we can all take a look at it. Yeah. Okay. And so, like, and you say about rejected, some of them may have been rejected by us. They were brought to us and rejected. Then others you were in a way rejected by you because you didn't even bring them to us because you could see that they were in scope, or it was unreasonable for them to be asking for additional funds.
Right. Yep.
Okay. All right. Just anything else on change orders from anybody? Nope. Professional services, additional service requests. We did at the last meeting approve the services request from Ziesman, which is with the first selectman to be signed. I did bring it in and left him with the explanation in the minutes, etc., which hasn't been a problem in the past, so I don't think it'll be again. He likes to read the stuff, and he'll get that to us, and I can send copies along. And then for the others, the original from Perkins Eastman and from Rizzo, still under consideration, discussion, etc., with us. And again, it's not something that we're just putting at the bottom of the list, but we're making sure it's still on the list and continuing to do some reviews. So invoices, we're already the invoices. It must not be true. Too early. Before we start with invoices, does anybody have any other stuff, questions, etc. with no. I gotta say again, the tour last week was, thank you for those who were able to attend, because I think it was very well received by all who attended.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it makes you want to open schools up and just take everybody through and say, look at all this stuff the town is doing. Though I don't think I would try that anytime soon. But thanks to everybody who came, because I think it was a great thing to do. It was a great idea that Dr. Carper came up with, as far as all the different boards and commissions who wanted to see everything, Board of Finance, etc. You know, give everybody an opportunity to take a look at the same time. So we do have a couple of invoices that we have to deal with. Do I So do you want to do the Rizzo one first? Is that?
Oh, yes, we would do the Rizzo one first.
So Ken, did you drop the stuff off? Ken?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Did you drop off the two?
Oh yeah,
You said
yeah. I dropped them off. I emailed them and I dropped them off about 1:30.
Because then when I was there and when I got to the point of remembering to go get them, the first selectman's office was locked. So I will get them tomorrow. But you did drop them. You said you were going to between one, after one. And
Yes.
by the time I left there and then remembered to run back in and check on it. But I'll get them tomorrow.
Well, and I should just verify that the copies that I have here that are the copies that I circulated from Friday are still the accurate amounts, right? That didn't change between Friday and today.
Yeah, that one matches the one that I have in front of me that's signed.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I will make a motion to approve Rizzo application for payment 27 for Johnson School in the amount of 158,100 or one. Yeah. Thank you for making it a little bigger. $158,193.45.
Second.
Second. Does anybody have any questions?
I have just,
okay, go ahead.
I was just going to point out that this is base contract and approved change orders for trades, plus a reduction for Verdi, a retainage reduction for Verdi, down to the 2.5% that we discussed last week or last meeting, and also a retainage reduction for Gold Seal Roofing down to 2.5%. So okay. we can look at those amounts if you want, but those are the only two retainage reductions that are included in this.
Okay, because that was what I was going to ask. I know we looked at a bunch of them at the last meeting. You had a whole
right.
All of them, and so it's just those two that, and are those the first retainage reductions that we're doing, right? Correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Any other additional comments or questions on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Is anybody opposed? Okay, so we can do the Rockwell one. And we'll check, make sure that amount is the same. Okay, so Ken, is that Rockwell amount the same as what you've got on your signed one?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we approve Rizzo application for payment number 27 for Rockwell School in the amount of $71,604.20. And does that have retainage in it, retainage reductions in it too, Geraldine?
Yeah,
well,
this one just has Verdi. Again, Verdi had a retainage reduction down to 2.5%.
Okay, so Dave seconds, now we can discuss, sorry. Just the Verdi retainage reduction on this one.
Correct.
So the others are still,
yep.
Okay. Okay. Any other? All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody who's opposed? That one's done. Okay, let's move on to the other ones. Get these out. Where do you want to start?
I'm thinking IES.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we approve IES invoice number 15756 for Johnson School in the amount of $2,418.25.
Second.
Dave Olson seconds. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. motion that we approve the IES invoice number 15754 for Rockwell School in the amount of $1,795.50.
Second.
Second from somebody, Roy, I think.
Yes.
Any questions on this?
Yeah, just a quick thing. Just a quick thing.
Okay.
I'm in favor. Is this the last of the billing? Or are they still, I'm trying to, sorry, to blur it out here. We still owe them a few more thousand. Is that what I'm reading?
So interestingly enough, yeah, so on this invoice, on their basic commissioning services, this takes them to 100%. There is a phase that there is work that they continue to do over the next 10 to 12 months, which is that last phase you see their post-occupancy operation and warranty. But in terms of commissioning the equipment, we are at 100% of those phases with this invoice. Now on the Johnson invoice, there was still 20% remaining. So they are still, right? Yes. So they're only billing up to 80% of the commissioning phase that they're in now, evaluating for occupancy.
Okay.
Yes.
So
at
did we
Rockwell,
vote on that one?
they're complete, but they're not complete with all of their services.
Okay, and I think we need to still vote on this. Yes.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. And then with Dave's question, that's for their original commissioning
Correct.
that they had given way back.
Right.
And then they gave us, because we had asked them to do stuff, they did give us some extended proposals, which we approved. And this is just for Rockwell, but it's part of that extended services.
Right.
And this one didn't go out with the original group, but I had it because I picked up the originals and we can still do it. So I'll make a motion that we approve IES invoice number 15755 for Rockwell School extra services for commissioning in the amount of $1,820.
Second.
Dave seconds. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
So we have a couple more. We have E plus and we have ESC. So whichever one of those you want.
Do ES, yes, we'll do ESC. Let's see.
There should be 3 of them.
2. I only have 2.
Well, that's good.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
2 for,
well, there's that, yes, that's the one that, the old one that I sent you about. Right. So yeah, I have 2.
Yes, so this one is for AV work at Johnson School, and it is from December. I think I was holding this one because they were billing out to the end of their contract and they still were doing work actually into April. So, so this is an old invoice, but at this point they are complete.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the ESC invoice number 1186872 for Johnson School. This is for FF&E for the AV stuff in the amount of $800.
Okay.
So Dave seconds. Thanks for the explanation. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done.
But I guess now that I'm thinking about it, then what is this invoice from?
May. Does that include the 800 in there, do you think?
I think that this is additional. So, shoot, where did it go? Whoops. We had them do some additional work. No, I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. Was it part of like any of the change orders we did to?
It was, yes, it was the, we had them add casters to the rack in the music room.
Yes, I remember that.
Because the music room, because the rack could not be attached to the wall where it was supposed to be. Where am I now? 62, this one.
I actually remember questioning that myself.
Yes, so this was because of, you know, an interference with where conduit and boxes were put on the wall in the music room. And so we had to build a mobile rack for the AV rack, equipment rack in the music room. And that's what this amount is. So even though the last invoice said 100%, this is the additional charge for that additional work that was authorized.
Right, and it's listed on addition, so that's.
Yes.
Okay, so then I'll make a motion to approve ESC invoice number 1187462 in the amount of $1,966.47 for that additional AV work for Johnson FF&E. Anybody want a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And then we have a couple of E+.
Yes, so these E+ invoices, it took me a while to track down what the heck they were for. And so it's the same amount for each school, $3,533.50. This was work that the school requested related to the re-termination of the wireless access point cables. So as you will recall, and this will come up again because this is, I believe this is one of the things Ferguson is still disputing. The cable terminations, well, first of all, they were not getting good wireless coverage through either of the schools. And when D'Agostino and E+ went back looking for why the connections were poor, it was determined that the wrong termination end, the wrong cable ends were put on all of the cables that were going to the wireless access points. And actually, I think to some of the cameras as well. And so Ferguson and Mercury needed to come back and repair all of those terminations, re-terminate all of those cable ends. The school did not want, and I think Ferguson and Mercury did not want to actually make the new connections then into the wireless access point devices. So E+ was asked to come back, and after Ferguson and Mercury replaced the plug ends, E+ then put them back together with the wireless access points, and then we're able to test the wireless access points to make sure that everything was working. So this actually was a scope of work that was authorized by David Airy in IT, but it was a necessary scope of work in order to complete the repairs to the wireless access points. Now, under normal circumstances, I would say this would be a cost that one would refer back to the construction team, because the need for this work arose because of incorrect work done and rework that needed to be done to the terminations at the wireless access points. I think it's highly unlikely that Rizzo is going to be able to back charge Ferguson for these amounts. And honestly, we could have them try in any case. But the contract for this work was between E+ and the town school district. And so I would recommend that we approve the payment of it. And then if you would like Rizzo to try and get this money out of Ferguson, that could be a separate direction or issue. But I think there's less than no chance that they'll be able to get this money out of Ferguson as a back charge.
So there would have been no need for an actual change order with this, because it's not part of the GMP. It's on the other side of the budget amounts on FF&E, correct?
Correct. I think they went right through all I have was a series of emails that authorized them to jump in and do this work. So I don't have an approval by you all prior to the work being done for a change. But the work, in fact, was done and was done by a town vendor and not through construction necessarily.
And they, in a way, got it done quickly while Ferguson and Mercury were still haggling.
Well, what they did is they were able to come. They followed right behind Mercury as they were doing the reterminations and reactivated all the wireless access points. So it actually was during the school break week. They jumped on it right away and came down and did the work.
So was Ferguson notified of it so that they could have done the work or not?
Yes.
Yes, yes, Ferguson was aware that this work needed to be done. At the end of the day, I think it was a quality issue.
Yeah.
As to who should be doing the reactivation of the wireless access points. It was the original work was done by E+. So the re-termination work was also done by E+.
Okay, no, it just seems that, I know Jim and Ken have a long list of items that Ferguson's gonna have to address. And I don't know if we just want to pile this one on too and back charge them for it also. I don't know. That's just a question maybe for Jim and Ken, whether we should just look at it as a total.
I think it needs to be added to the list. I don't know if that dollar amount, if Ferguson was notified of the exact dollar amount.
Yeah,
of the work.
That's just it. Yeah, that's what I wasn't too sure what we're requiring.
The issue overall with this, I'd love to tell you it's clear cut and Ferguson's wrong here, but I don't know that I could say that to you confidently.
Okay.
So it's going to be, to me, it's kitchen sink. Put it on there and let's, it should be on that side of the ledger. But
yep, see where it goes.
Yep.
Agreed.
Okay. So then I'll make a motion to approve the invoice from E+, invoice number V 2454625 for Johnson School in the amount of $3,033.50.
Okay.
Dave Olson, any other questions or discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. I don't quite get why they're both the same, but because one's a bigger school, whatever.
Yeah, and in fact, the other one listed 63 locations. This listed 37. I think they took the total charge and just cut it in half and issued 2 invoices. So yeah. It was challenging enough to get them to get E+ to go back through the records and figure out what this was for, because at first I couldn't correlate the numbers with any, because they still have outstanding invoices for installation work that they haven't issued. But these amounts didn't correlate with any of the installation numbers that I had. So I can add, you can approve and they can ask, I can ask them to pro rata, to revise the invoices and make it closer to the amounts, or, or
does it need,
not.
Does it need to be?
I don't think so. I mean, at the end of the day, the money right now is all coming out of one pot, I don't think this is going to make it that big of a difference.
I'm sorry, Geraldine, can you say how many spots were at each school? Like
at Johnson, it was 63. At Rockwell here, it was 37.
Okay, thank you.
Nancy, I have a question.
Sure.
Bottom left-hand corner, is that a Board of Ed PO number? Does that complicate matters?
No, that is the original PO number for these projects, for the E+ work. They did not. We did not have another PO was not issued. They're just tacking this onto the old one.
Oh, okay, because it looks a lot like ours.
Yeah, right. No, that's the PO, and that was early on numbers that were small. Finance advised that they were not just going to keep issuing purchase orders or changing the purchase orders, and to just tack them on.
Thank you.
If you approve, they're going to pay them.
Okay. So I don't think did I do the motion? No. E+ for Rockwell School Invoice number V2454629 in the amount of $3,533.50.
Second.
Dave Olson, second. All in favor?
Aye.
We opposed? And then this other E+ one that I've had for a while, that's the $35,000 one. You're still figuring that out, right?
So yes, well, at a previous meeting, we had, I had asked you to approve, I think the amount was like 31,000 of that. And then leaving off the amount for the wireless survey. So what, and what ended up happening is that I had asked E+ to reissue an invoice in that correct amount, in the amount that you all approved. And what they ended up issuing was a credit for the entire 35,000 without reissuing an invoice in an amount less, like 31,000. So we are fine. After the payments on these two invoices are made, they're going to provide me with a statement, all the invoices paid, you know, all the invoices issued, all of them paid, so that I can make sure that we haven't had something else slip through the cracks. And then I'm also going to urge them to bill out the rest of their contract because, like I said, that 35,000 was for Johnson. There's still all of the installation charges for Rockwell, but we need to get those in and paid as soon as possible. So I am working on it.
All right, good. I think that's it for invoices today, right?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so. Now, are you, meaning you, Geraldine, and anybody else, anticipating the need to have any kind of OAC meeting in the near future, or are you just trying to individually get together with people as you need to review stuff? And
that's what we've been doing for the past couple of weeks. I'm checking in with Ken regularly. We're running through the list of outstanding items to see what the projected dates are. And now that we have actually a schedule, we'll be making sure that we're holding to all those dates. Following up with Perkins Eastman on any outstanding information that's needed. Obviously, they're still seeing any PCOs that come through. I will be forwarding the list of the outstanding claims and change orders that Rizzo is dealing with also to Joe Collada so that he can take a look at some of those. And that is a meeting that we will need to schedule in the near future to review all that information. But other than that, there really are not enough outstanding issues to hold a regular meeting with the whole group.
Yeah, so doing it like that's working and get stuff done. And yeah, okay, good. Just checking. Anybody have anything else for our school projects team? Any other comments, questions, etc.?
Nope. Not at this time.
All right, so we are good. Our next meeting is June 22nd. We'll just make sure everybody gets that announcement in a timely fashion. And everybody else has got to stick around for Municipal Center. So Geraldine, Joe, Ken, Jim, Bob, thanks.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, if Bob's going to Hawaii, we're all going with you, okay?
The next one is Puerto Rico, so I got open seats.
Oh, okay, but when? Next week? All right, thanks a lot, everybody.
Right,
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So just quickly on the police station, the firing range, they had originally said they were going to do the walk since we had to wait 21 days, which would have been Wednesday the 9th. Tomorrow, they did schedule the water test for Thursday morning, and then I got an email Monday morning Monday afternoon, actually, it was yesterday afternoon, from Jeff Anderson saying they're not available to be here to do the test, so it's going to be next week. But I don't have a date or time yet. As soon as I will let everybody know. If it's something you want to be a part of, just kind of like, fade yourself in and out or whatever, so we don't have to deal with, quorum kind of stuff. But My understanding is anything that we've had in the past since they finished it, almost 21 days ago, hasn't caused a problem. It's usually like the really heavy wind-driven rain that's caused problems in the past. Although I've been there when it's just rained straight down, but rain heavily, it's leaks. So there haven't been any leaks on that back side of the building. I'm going to look at it because you have to go around the back of the building, and I'd have to check in and get permission to do that. I just haven't. So as soon as I find out, I will let you know. Again, and I hope it's said to Jeff, because I did email Matt too, because Matt, Paul, and Rich wanted to be there, to let them know. As soon as I find out, I will let everyone know. And I ran into Chief Pugner today, and we talked a little bit too about completing the inside of the firing range, which is going to be a process of having to put together probably have to put some stuff out to bid. Although what we're going to try to figure out is, because more than 2 years ago, they got that whole plan from Action Target. I think that's the name of the place.
Yep.
That, like, we don't want to have somebody else do that. You know, we've already got that plan from them, and it's, you know, something that's workable. So we're going to see how we can figure out continuing to use them. I'm sure construction costs have gone up because they have everywhere. So the amount that they got put together, which was I think around 650, is probably up to 800-900 now, because it is. So as soon as we get the outside settled and everything done with that, because once the coating is done, there's still some flashing and caulking and other stuff that has to happen. Once that's all done and the inside's dried, the big thing they keep talking about, and it's Downs that keeps saying it, is getting the HVAC, the air conditioned, so to speak, and get the ventilation going to make sure that doesn't create more of a problem with moisture inside. However, we all know in construction, once you dry a building in, you don't have everything in place immediately. It all takes time to get an HVAC system up and running in any building, whether it's large or small.
Yeah,
so,
but the good thing about that though is it is a positive air pressure system. So if it's set up properly, which I'd really like to be on that when they do it, if they give it a little bit of positive pressure, that should actually help keep any leaping out.
Yeah. We just want to make sure that we can get that done definitely like before winter or something, because even though once you dry a building in, it does take a little while to get all the different systems installed on the inside, getting them up and running. You don't wait a year, 2 years, whatever. So like I said, I'll let everyone know once I find out that we have a date and a time. My guess is whatever the date is going to be morning. It's going to be like start at 8 o'clock or start at 9 o'clock. Stand there with a hose, not a fire hose, but just a garden hose, spraying it there for some period of time, and someone on the inside seeing what happens. And then once that gets done, it's going to be, they're going to have to purchase the rest of the coating material and get somebody out there to do it. It looks like they got it done in a pretty quick amount of time with the primer and the 2 coats. So hopefully it won't take long. All right, that's it on that. And with the municipal sector, go ahead.
Sorry, my last question was, do we have to clean the exterior of the building before they coat it? Because I was reading up on it and they want okay. And that's all part of it.
Right, and I think that's what they did on the back. Well, they didn't do any kind of like power wash thing. They didn't want to wet it. So they did this dry kind of, not sandblasting, but kind of brushing and, making sure there's no loose stuff on it. So hitting it with some air. So they're gonna have to do that to the whole building, especially since they did do a little bit of grinding and repointing in a couple of areas, especially where they put that control joint.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you.
So I will mention that they have to make sure they do that, because you want it done anyways, even though the specs do specifically say that you want it no matter what you're going to put on. So with the municipal center, the lobby, GP room lobby area, I did email Peter Eckert, who was happy to hear from me, yet said, oh, all you need to do is have your building official check the plans to see if the code is up to date and then put it out to bid, which isn't what I asked for. So I did email back and say, because I did ask, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I asked Chris Baldwin to take a look at it. And he said he doesn't usually do code reviews until you're in the permitting process. I'd have to ask him again. And I remember this from earlier with Peter Eckert, like doing a cost estimate is not something he's happy to do. So if we need to have a figure, which I think a couple of years ago, we talked about getting the RFP done, putting it out there, getting that cost, asking them to hold it for, would we say 120 days. So we actually have a hard cost. We either do that or hire a professional cost estimator to put a cost estimate together for us.
Is that something that Peter could do, is to put together to get an estimator to get us that, Nancy? Do you think that that's something we can work towards?
That was my question, is should we use a professional cost, do you have a professional cost estimator? And he wasn't, he didn't say he could do that, but he must have something, because I'm sure he has to come up with, for any of his projects, he has to come up with costs.
Right.
People are going to say, oh, that's not in my budget. So
I know, it just seems like a pretty elementary part of what we have to do.
Right.
I mean, I hate to be going out there, without just totally, I'm not going to say clueless, but,
we don't want to, we get bids back and they're all over the place, and which one's really, close.
Yeah.
So Rich, what do you got?
Well, it's just, if the plans are ready for bidding, why not just go out to let them bid it, and then, like you say, hold the bids for the 90 days.
Right.
Otherwise, you're gonna get a cost estimator.
I know.
Another year before anything gets done.
Yes, I agree on that end too.
So the RFP that we have, we actually had Peter Eckert help us write an RFP, since we don't know how to write them. I don't. And then it went to Marty, and Marty said that there needed to be some changes, kind of more like legally sort of, or being either specific about certain things. And that's off with that RFP. So I want to go ahead and I didn't know, again, in asking Peter Eckert for help, what specifically was needed to be able to apply for this grant that Matt was talking about, Rich, and I don't know if you know that.
Oh, well, no, that's a different issue. So, but it's just ask one person, say, I'm just throwing a name out, like Verdi, to give you a cost estimate on it.
Right.
Or you have to go out and write a RFP and get different bids for a cost estimate.
No, because so if we're just looking for a cost estimate, I think in the past what we've done is, and we did this for a couple of different things. Well, that's kind of what we did with the school project, and in a way what we did with the police station, to be able to go to referendum, have an amount, but you're not going to put it out to bid. And we didn't have plans yet. So with those two, and the library was different because that was a all grant and donation money. But definitely with the police station, we had the needs assessment study that we did with Jakonski Humes, and then we hired Jakonski Humes again, 10 years later, to update the schematic. So you just have the schematic, you don't have a complete set of plans, and to update using their professional cost estimators, so whether in-house or whether they have it, someone they hire, to come up with that amount, which is the amount that then goes to referendum. We did the same thing with the school projects, where initially we hired Perkins. We actually had before that also O&G on board to do some estimating and schematics to come up with some figures. And they did like this amount of work. We said thank you. They went away. Perkins Eastman started with their cost estimator, came up with the amount to go to referendum using the schematics again, which is always a bunch of square foot, you know, prices, and you know, we go there.
Well,
We can,
I asked Roy or Dave, are there any individual companies that just do cost estimating rather than a contractor? Because a contractor would want to bid on it maybe later on.
Yeah. Hey, Richie, you know, your idea, Rich, as far as going to a bid, Nancy, I'm going to go back again with Peter, just discussing that. His plans are so-called complete. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Because, you know, before COVID hit, I thought we were, you know, very far along. I basically thought those were biddable plans, or that's what we're shooting for.
Yes, that's what we have. That's what we have, which is different than both the police station and the school projects, where
correct
biddable plans. We had schematics of the general idea that a cost estimator kind of just threw some numbers at, but you know.
Right. Hey, Rich, so this is just, you know, for the front entryway, as far as Peter has that whole section drawn up. We don't have the, you know, the back areas.
No, we're only doing the front area.
Exactly. So maybe we should just run with that, like Richie is saying, as far as work with Marty again, and, you know, see if we can get to a bid document on these things and send it out. And like you're saying, extend the time period.
Yeah. And you know, it could be subject to a future grant. I mean, if you get the cost first and then apply for the grant, you might not get the grant anyway.
Yeah, I know.
But I think what we put in was something along the lines of, you know, holding the cost for 120 days and some other language about subject to funding approval by the town of Bethel, sort of thing.
Right.
And knowing with that one, it would be under $1 million. It would go to a town meeting. It wouldn't have to have a referendum. We hope it's still under $1 million with construction costs as they are.
Well, that front entry shouldn't be over $1 million. No, way.
It better not.
It shouldn't. No,
but
definitely not.
So, you know, maybe we should just move it along on that and just reconfirm with Peter that we can take those plans and then get together with Marty again and see if we could put together the, you know, the bid package and time it all out. I don't know if Marty could spend some time with us to make sure we can get everything into it.
Well, we have the plans, Peter. He gets, you know, and I found them. Somebody was looking for them. I can't remember who, maybe Matt. And I found them in just an email, you know, part of an email, and I think I had saved it into as a document on my computer. Obviously can't just go and open it and look at it. It's pretty big, but it's big enough where that's the thing we have to come up with. If we come up with an RFP, then how does the plan information go out?
Could Nancy, do you think we could set up a meeting with Peter ourselves, you know, set up the committee and see if we can talk this through with Peter to make sure we're all set here?
Nancy, what Peter drafted up, the plans were supposed to be picked up and paid for at Bethel Printing. That was already in the RFP. Why are we worrying about putting out plans that it's already designed how to do it again?
I didn't say anything about printing plans out. I'm saying that whoever is going to bid on it, we put in the RFP how they pick up the plans.
Right, and it said at Bethel Printing and Graphics.
Okay, we can do that. If we would
it's already in there.
It is already in there. We would need to make sure they have it and they have an up-to-date copy so that they can hand it out.
And I kind of have to agree with Roy. I think we should take and get a subcommittee together.
Yeah.
Just to look at what has been drafted up and presented already. And
it's been a long
years now, and things have changed.
It's been a long time. Exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
and I think we have, 98% of the items I thought we were very, very far along, and then COVID hit, and
exactly.
it basically shut us down. So
I worked on a lot of that, and there was a lot of stuff that was, and like you said, COVID just came and put the kibosh on everything.
It crashed everything. So I think if we all pulled up our old notes and maybe just did something in a meeting, now that we're starting to wrap up in the schools, all hit it at once so that we could, but I think it'd be worthwhile just to double check with Peter too, to make sure we're all thinking the same thing.
So
maybe check with Marty and just ask him to dust off the file.
Yep.
Start looking at it.
I think that's where we are, Rich. I think we really just have to all of us now that we're getting caught up, I think we can all seriously look at this.
I'm not sure what else we need from Peter. I think he's given us what we kind of asked for.
And the only thing I'm asking, Nancy, is, he probably has everything there. I think it'd be nice for all of us to sit down, look at the plans again, and just go through it and make sure we're all thinking the same thing.
With Peter.
Yeah, I think that would be beneficial, yes.
Yeah, just have a brief meeting over the municipal center and ask them over. And we're dusting off the plans, and we want to just review it one time. Come on over for an hour or something.
Yeah, it's been a year and a half at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who wants to be on that meeting?
I'd volunteer very, very comfortably. It'd be nice to be able to get all of us involved so that we're all, or whoever could make it. I don't know.
If it's all of us, we have to put an agenda.
Oh, okay. Whatever works for everyone, and I'll step back too if someone else wants to be in place.
No, Roy, you said and John said, so anybody else?
I'll join in.
Good.
And David. Okay, so we'll see what I can email Peter and all of you and see what we can put together to do that. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's great.
That
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ray.
RFP was pretty far along. And so my question would be, Rich, in looking at the fact that now that has become the main entry for the building and will be for the foreseeable future, that's another thing that we may want to think about if we're going to involve Peter. Are there things that we want to add in having that be the main entry? Because now we got that table sitting there with the computer on it, and I don't know how much that all gets used.
I'll speak up about that. I hope that's not going to be in the future plans of the municipal center. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. I just didn't know if we needed to add some more electronics in there or other stuff like that, to have like a check-in process, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think having the entire building, all the 10 doors in that building open constantly all the time, 24, well, not 24/7, but all day was not a good thing. Wandering in and out of the building from the back doors, from the front doors, from the side doors was not, in my opinion, all that secure. But sure, we can look at that. If we're not going to make any changes to that effect, then we'll just leave it the way it is. All right, so look for an email on that. And one last thing, we have an actual new member who's not a new member, but he is a new member. So at their meeting last Tuesday, June 1st, Dave Olson was appointed by the Board of Selectmen to fill Gil Letelier's vacancy. So Dave's stuck with us for.
I did read that.
Good, Dave. Thank you.
So Dave, did you have to go get sworn in again?
Yeah,
did they send you?
I'll try to do that tomorrow. How about that?
Well, did they send you a letter? That's the thing.
I don't have a letter yet.
Okay, because what they'll do is they'll send you a letter saying congratulations and go get sworn in as soon as you can, because that's a different position actually than the ad hoc committee that you were, or the ad hoc position that you were sworn into. So I think you have to do it again. but I'll find out and I'll let you know. I'll ask some questions because I have to go over there tomorrow and bring invoices to Kathy, who's talking to somebody. All right, anything else here?
This week, we're going to Maine next Tuesday.
You're going to Maine next Tuesday?
Yeah.
Will you be back for the meeting on the 22nd?
I'll do it from there.
Okay, good. All right, great. You'll either call or Zoom or whatever. And like I said, we're going to be Zooming for a while longer, so.
Yep.
Yeah, I found that kind of interesting because the Republican Town Committee was able to have their in-person meeting.
Well, so that's actually different because it's actually not part of the town government.
Gotcha.
And I think there are some boards and or commissions who have met in person. I think the police commission sometimes meets in person. I've gone past and they're all sitting there without, this was months ago, without their masks on, which I thought was kind of strange, but
yeah.
Like I said, since this is part of town government, I'm kind of waiting to hear something official, because if we start having in-person meetings again, we have to let the public come, and the public can be nobody or it can be 100 people. So we have to be ready to do that. You're not going to get that at a RTC or a DTC type meeting.
No, no.
We'll keep you posted.
We should wait till the schools are done to have a public meeting.
And then have it in the, gymnasium or in the track and field house or something like that, so we can all sit far apart.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'm trying to get somebody to do that.
Me.
Thanks, John.
I seconded it.
Everybody, thank you.
Good. Thanks a lot.
Take care, everybody.
Thank
Good night
you.
now.
Good night.
Bye.
Have fun in Maine, Dave. Kathy, I'll see you.
Yep. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Kathy.
Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.